He is the man behind Tesla and SpaceX, so the world was watching when Elon Musk took over Twitter. But once he assumed control and changed the name to X, the company went into chaos with seemingly little content moderation.
A new book focuses on how it happened and what it was like for employees who were directly impacted. It's called Extremely Hardcore Inside Elon Musk's Twitter. It was written by Zoe Schiffer, who is the managing editor of Platformer, which covers social networks. And Zoe joins us now live. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
So this is a perspective. Did you get to talk to people that never spoke out before, that were working at Twitter when Elon Musk took over?
Yeah, I talked to about 60 people for the book directly. Now I've talked to well over 100 employees, but most of the people who speak out in the book are speaking out for the very first time. They hadn't been public before.
And are they speaking out anonymously, or because I'd imagine that after this takeover happened, that there are all these NDAs and all kinds of legal issues?
You would think that, but one thing about Elon Musk is that he has been very hesitant to pay people out their severance, even when they've been laid off. And what that means is that a lot of them haven't signed non-disclosure agreements, which is not to say that they aren't taking on enormous legal risk by putting their names out there, but employees felt like it was really important to get the real story of what happened out.
Well, what did you learn from talking to them that wasn't public knowledge about how all this happened?
There was so much in the book, and I really took pains to talk to both people who really believed in Elon Musk and wanted him to succeed, and people who were very hesitant and worried about the decisions that he made. There are all sorts of scoops that are coming out for the first time in the book, including funny things like the afternoon of deal close, Elon Musk realizing that he's short $500 million and actually asking Twitter executives to lend him the money. But I think the broader implications of the story are really how unnecessary a lot of the damage has been. Employees, even those who were hesitant about Elon Musk coming on board, wanted to see him succeed, both because they believed in the company and they wanted to protect the users. But unfortunately, Elon's stance from the very beginning was that he did not trust the people who were working for him, and he wanted to get rid of them as quickly as possible.
And you also write about the many unreasonable demands that Elon Musk made once he took over. What's an example or two of some of those unreasonable demands?
Yeah, I mean, one thing that we all know from the outside is that he wanted to launch Twitter Blue, this product that would tie verification for the first time to a subscription model where anyone could pay $8 a month and get a blue check mark. And he wanted to launch that right before the midterm elections in the United States. Employees begged him to slow down. They said that their platform would be overrun with impersonators if he went forward. But up until the last minute, he just simply would not listen to them. And there were countless examples of that where employees felt like they knew the right thing for the public, the right thing for the world, for elections and democracy. And Elon Musk was very hard to convince to do the right thing.
I'm sure there have to be some people that are on his side with some of the changes that he made. There was a lot of fat that had to be cut, I'm sure, at the company. Is he doing anything worse than a regular, I don't know, a CEO that comes in and takes over a company? How is it different?
Yeah, that's a great question. And it's worth pointing out that even before Elon Musk came on board, Twitter executives had planned for about a 16% layoff that spring because the company had overhired during the pandemic and it was a little bit bloated. That said, there are a lot of erratic decisions that he's made that I do think are very unusual. And I think we have to look no further than Elon Musk's own Twitter feed. Even as he has hired an outside CEO, Linda Yaccarino, to come on board and sell ads, he continues to talk in a way that really upsets advertisers. And advertising is still the core of Twitter's business. And so he continues to shoot himself in the foot.
Did you reach out to Elon Musk to have him comment directly on this in this book?
Yes, I texted him multiple times directly, and he replied only once with the crying, laughing emoji. So he didn't want to talk.
Really? So you just got an emoji response?
Just an emoji response.
Well, it's interesting. The book is Extremely Hardcore Inside Elon Musk's Twitter. For more, you can check out ZoeSchiffer.com and follow her on social media. Thanks, Zoe.
Thank you so much for having me.